Thanks for tuning into this special episode of Howe's Things, a podcast from the David A. Howe Public Library, recorded right here in Wellsville, New York, and the other half recorded in Marshall, Michigan. It's Pride Month, and we got Beau Hutchings on the hook. Hey, Beau.
Hey.
Welcome back.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm loving it.
Anytime. I've got exciting news for you, Beau. This year, we're simulcast over in the 9021 Here We Go feed. So you can also welcome the 9021 Here We Go listeners.
Well, hey, welcome 9021.
Yeah.
9021 Go?
9021 Here We Go. Yeah.
Oh,
Get it? Get it? And the O is a 0?
I will get it eventually.
Yeah, okay. All right. That's no worries. No worries. I know you were a 90210 fan back in the day. Let me ask you this. If any of the 90210 cast could take you to prom, who would it be?
Tori Spelling.
Really?
Yeah.
Donna famously got drunk at the prom and almost didn't graduate.
Same, Donna.
Okay. All right. I mean, I'm a Kelly Taylor all the way, you know.
Of course you are. Donna would have been fun. She would have been an ally. She would have been a distraction.
She would have, yeah.
While I was probably trying to make out with Brian Austin Green or wanting to, she would have come to the version over here.
Got it.
We would have, stayed up all night gabbing about it until she sobered up.
Yeah, that's true. Donna's always good for some shenanigans. That's a good pull.
Didn't she lose her virginity in one of those episodes, in that prom episode?
Not the prom episode. It happens eventually, but we're not through that. Kendra and I are going through season 7 right now, and it still hasn't happened. So no spoilers.
No, I don't recall clearly.
Okay.
I thought I'm thinking of Melrose Place because
lots of stuff happens in Melrose Place. That's for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, today it's our Pride Month book club. We are talking about She Gets the Girl by Allison Derrick and Rachel Lippincott. Before we get into that, though, let's open up our books and see where our bookmarks are at. Beau, the last time we did Pride Month book club, you were just about to start the Derek Huff biography, and I wonder if you ever picked it up, if you ever finished it. What's he up to?
That is so funny because before I came down to open up this app, I looked at that book and I thought, God, I'll start that still.
Yeah.
So clearly haven't cracked it.
Okay.
The thing is,
that's all right.
I told you how that book came to me, right?
Yes, a gift from your therapist, I recall.
Yeah, well, I'm not seeing that therapist anymore. So maybe, I'm not prioritizing that one.
Got it. Okay. That makes perfect sense.
She's all the best. She's great.
Yeah.
It just, new year, new me, new.
It got you a book. Yeah.
Journey. It got me a book that I've.
Yeah, that's right. Are you wearing any Pride Month gear this time? I still haven't got over the year that you were wearing that be me.
The gay Target.
Yes.
Paraphernalia.
Yeah.
This one I just love in general.
What does it say?
De la vie.
Okay.
The tank top, and it's from my cruise ship days in St. Martin, and I don't get much prideier than that.
That's right. I forgot about your cruise ship days. How long was that? How long were you out to sea?
Too long. I think I might still be there.
Do you think a little bit? Did your land legs ever come back? Are you still wobbling around like Liza Minnelli?
Bermuda Triangle. I definitely am still walking around like Liza Minnelli, but that has nothing to do with my cruise ship days. Thank you. But I was there. I was on the ship for 6 months before they threw us overboard for Mamma Mia because I did the musical Chicago on board.
Sure.
It was the last cast, and we were only 6 months, which sounds like a long time, but that's actually a really short contract in cruise ship years. So
cruise ship years. Sure.
I think the maximum's like 8 or 9 months that you can spend on the ship before they legally have to pull you off for a couple of months. Because that whole cabin fever thing is real.
Really?
I didn't make it that far, but I did do a crossing of the Atlantic, the 10 days where we were on the ship for 10 days straight. And I really do think about that moment.
Yeah.
That week and a half often. It was pretty rough.
That sounds insane. Yeah, I can't imagine.
We weren't performing at that time either because it was the same guests for 10 days, and they only want to watch Chicago once.
Sure. How many times can you sit through Chicago on a
Exactly.
cruise
So
ship?
yeah,
Yeah.
and most of them already only saw it like a half a time anyway. It was a terrible cruise ship show.
Wow.
That revival, the like sleek black version, nobody wants to see like just people in like abstract costumes. They want to see
True.
glamour or go to the casino. So like the second, unfortunately, Mary Sunshine would start singing her song, we would see people pop up, walk
Oh boy.
by, and then we'd also see people like open the door in the back, peek their head in, and slowly close it.
Oh
Like,
no.
not that one.
I hate to side with a cruise ship, but Mamma Mia does seem like a better choice.
Oh, absolutely. And I saw a
Yeah.
run through that show, and I thought, yeah, that makes sense.
This is right. This is right. I just saw a production of Mamma Mia that you choreographed
Oh
this
my
very
goodness,
month.
that's right. You came all the
Such a
way
good
to
time.
Oh,
I did all the way to Marshall. It was a great time.
dang. So you're gonna come back for Here We Go again?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean I want to be in it this time.
Okay, yeah, I'll send you the audition posting.
Oh, I mean
It's a high
you're
school show.
right, but I mean you're kind of behind the scenes. Couldn't you just make it?
Yeah,
Couldn't
no.
you just make it happen? Just like ask a few people and
My people will talk to your people.
put a good word in. Okay. All right. All right. I made sure to shake your hands when you were Cindy Purvis and me in St.
You
Louis.
did. You kind of gave me my start, so I do owe you,
Yeah,
I think.
you do. Yeah, and I'm calling to collect. Yes, I did see your production of Mamma Mia, and the choreography was great. I was worried because they were teens, and I'm a terrible liar. But the choreography was so good that I didn't even have to try to
Oh,
lie. So it was great.
it actually does mean a lot coming from you. And I think one of my favorite testimonials was I thought that the kids were very talented and did a good job. And when our colleague, I guess you could say, back from the day, one of the kids that we
Oh yeah,
doing theater with sat down and he said, "Oh man, they're putting us to shame." It's like
yeah,
I just wonder what they're putting in the water these days. Kids are so talented, and maybe
yeah.
it's the resources they have. They have access to YouTube, and
That's true.
just are I don't know, just more. They're just know who
Yeah,
they are.
you solved it with YouTube. What are you? So what are you reading? If not Derek Huff, have you read anything, or what's on your to read shelf?
Sure. So I actually finally finished a book that I started reading, I think a year and a half or 2 years ago.
Okay.
It was that The Wreckage of My Presence by Casey Wilson. I finally
Yes.
finished that this
Okay.
season. I don't know if I told you, but I'm kind of a nurturer of literature. Like I like to like make it last. I
Yeah.
won't rush through it. So this one I really wanted to hold on to, and it was fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. It was so sweet.
Okay.
I'm switching gears and moving on. I did start a book that's very apropos to Pride Month, and it's called Bad Gays.
Uh-oh.
It's homosexual history, and it was written by Hugh Lamy and Ben Miller.
Okay.
I'm not that far into it. I was given to it from a very good friend of mine, also straight cis male ally like you
Okay. Like
from
me.
college. Yeah, he gifted this to me for my birthday this past year, and I cracked it open, and I'm a slow reader. I can only focus on certain things. But the first story they talked about was Oscar Wilde and sort of his journey through
Okay.
history and how he was condemned and thrown into prison and took a sentence from like his partner was I think an aristocrat or some sort of royalty.
Okay.
That person could not take the fall. So Oscar
Yeah.
Wilde took the fall. It took many years and died in basically obscurity and had no idea that that was his trajectory and
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all news to me.
Yeah. So that was the first story. So this is bound to be, feel good.
Yeah, sure. Perfect for the summer. Perfect for the summer,
Yeah. So we'll
that'll be great.
that. And then the other book that I have yet to crack open, but I'm very excited for, a little bit of fluff, if you will, is called The Housewives.
Oh, you
The
love yourself
real
some
story
housewives.
behind The Real Housewives by Brian Moylan. And he writes for Vulture, which is
Okay.
online news source, and he goes behind the scenes of the franchise The Real Housewives from Bravo. So
Yeah.
obviously I'm a big Housewives fan, so I'm looking forward to reading some of the drama of
Okay.
the movies behind the scenes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You reading the Casey Wilson books reminds me. I bet you would like Little Weirds by Jenny Slate. Do you know Jenny Slate?
Oh, I love Jenny Slate.
Yeah, it's really good. It's short stories. Some are feel kind of autobiographical. Others are just kind of odd. It's a good title because some of the stories are super short and they're just weird. But it's a good read, and I think it would be an easy one to kind of pick up, read a short story, and put it down, nurture it the way you do.
Love nurturing my funny ladies too.
I know you do.
Thank you.
Boy, I read one that was long, and it was by Stephen King. It's called Fairy Tale. Have you read any Stephen King?
I started Carrie, but it was nothing like the movie, and it was back when everything had to be like
Oh,
the movie. But
yes.
yeah,
Well, Carrie's an odd one too. Just this, I mean, it's his first book, so it's different than a lot of the other ones, and the style that it's written in, I could see why that would be a little off-putting. I usually like Stephen King pretty well. This one is kind of a fantasy book, and it starts with a boy, like a teenager. He has this grumpy neighbor, and the grumpy neighbor falls, and he ends up helping the guy, and then kind of gets pulled into his life, and then you sort of come to realize that there's this whole fairy tale element with well, I don't want to give any spoilers, but it goes from a very straight, like, lonely kid helps this lonely old man to a very detailed, like, fantasy kind of story. And I loved everything until we got to the fairy tale part. And it was like probably 30% of the book was just this kid kind of helping this guy and coming to terms with that, and like sacrificing, like playing sports and stuff so that he could be there for this guy who didn't have anybody. It was really kind of a touching story. But as soon as it transitioned to the fairy tale portion of it, I was just like, I don't need this in my life. I don't.
isn't it called Fairy Tale?
It is called fairy tale, and I knew it was coming. I'm not like surprised, but there was something about it. It was such a hard pivot because up until you get to that point, and I'm talking like 100 plus pages, it's very normal. It's just very, it's a nice story about these two people. It's not like there are fairy tale elements like sprinkled throughout the early part of it. There's really not. And so it's like, it's just, I couldn't make the transition. So
Fair.
yeah, I liked it. Didn't love it. I read some graphic novels. Did you see Into the Spider-Verse? Did you see the new Spider-Man?
No, the Bogart Theater downtown Marshall was showing that with The Little Mermaid. I chose The Little Mermaid, but I'm
Okay.
very interested in hearing about Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay. Yes, I liked it quite a bit. It's it's part one of two, so I'm very anxiously waiting number two. But I read a Spider-Man X-Men crossover called Dark Web that was pretty good. Pretty good as far as big. It's kind of a heavy crossover, lots of different characters and things coming in. But no, I thought it was pretty interesting. And I'm currently reading one called Red Team Blues by Cory Doctorow, and it's kind of a, I guess you'd put it in sci-fi, but it's really more a mystery about somebody stealing the keys to this cryptocurrency that gives them access to like billions of dollars, and this guy who's kind of a cyber detective is hired to get these keys back, and it's really interesting so far.
Read all different sorts, all different styles. That's awesome.
I'm all over the place.
Gotta represent.
Of course, yeah. Well, tell me about The Little Mermaid. I haven't seen it.
Oh, I enjoyed it. It's the first live action Disney that I saw.
Mm,
I wanted to see Lion King, but obviously didn't get to it. So this one I finally was like, okay, it's a big deal. They have a black actress playing Ariel. It's like
yeah.
awesome representation. Melissa McCarthy looked pretty fabulous. I think what I liked the most about it was just the setting above anything like kind of out of the sea I enjoyed. Which,
You and Ariel both.
now I finally get her. No, I think that it was a rough transition CGI wise from like down below.
Okay.
I thought that the world that they created out of the sea with like the Caribbean was really cool. It was very vibrant and beautiful. I love the little Easter eggs with the cameo of Jodie Benson.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I like those. I thought Melissa McCarthy was fantastic. I think there's some controversy. I love reading gay Twitter. And gay
Okay.
Twitter is all a tizzy about like how terrible her makeup is.
Oh,
So I don't know if you know this, but the original cartoon of Ursula from The Little Mermaid is based on Divine, the drag
oh,
queen from the
okay.
80s,
I didn't know that, but I could see it.
right? So like obviously the persona was larger than life and meant
Yeah.
to be very draggy in its own right. So apparently they had, no tea, no shade to the makeup artist, but they had a straight cis male doing the makeup. He
Mm,
just missed the mark.
yeah.
He did the classic like high eyebrows and the
Yeah.
green eyeshadow, but that's about it. Like that's kind of
Hmm.
where it ended. It was like the transformation wasn't drastic enough. Like I think the eyes could have been more severe. So the makeup was severely lacking, but her performance was fantastic. So you really got to
Yeah.
hand it to the actress. She pulled off the wimpy makeup if you will. And then there's like obviously like people blasted the makeup because everybody has an opinion these days, and he kind of stood his ground and was like, well, why can't straight men do makeup? It's like they can, but they got to do it good.
Right. There's still standards that
Yeah,
apply.
yeah.
I heard a lot of complaints about the length because it's, the cartoon is like 90 minutes and this is like over 2 hours. Did
Yeah.
you feel the added length?
Yeah, totally. I felt it was way too long, and there were definitely key points where I like ran to the restroom, and it was like Prince Eric had a song, and I don't think he
Yeah,
really needed a song. So
probably not. No,
great place for the audience here listening. If you need to take a break, go during that song because I didn't miss.
during Eric's song. Okay. Yeah, I have seen a lot of the anime, like live action, whatever. Like I saw Lion King, which was so boring because it was just realistic animals doing the Lion King with no facial expressions. Aladdin was pretty fun, but I don't have a whole lot of. I guess I don't understand why. Like I don't really have much of a desire to see them. I guess
I guess it's probably something with the Disney estate where it's like, every now and then they open the vault sort of thing. So maybe it was
Yeah,
sort of a grand plan one day to like do this, how they started doing live musicals. That's
yeah,
that's not Disney, but I think they're trying to harken back maybe to like, I don't know, just what they can do with I don't know, how they can
yeah,
revive these stories, and that's
yeah. Well, I mean, why not? They have the script sitting there. Like I'm sure it's a pretty simple endeavor in some ways to kind of be like, we already own this property, so let's do it again.
where could it be to make a terrible mistake?
Yeah, yeah, of
Screw
course.
up the Little Mermaid.
Yeah. Are you watching any shows right now?
I am watching an HBO series called The Other Two, which is Molly Shannon and two actors that I can't really remember their name. One is Helene York. They play the siblings of a really, really famous sibling that's like a Justin
Oh,
Bieber.
okay. Okay.
And this third season is really ridiculous. Like Molly Shannon has become like basically Oprah level famous, and the other two are very famous as well, just as famous as the Justin Bieber one. So it's pretty funny. I am also watching. I'm really like knee deep into Scandival, and I mentioned that before we came on. So Scandival really affected the Bravoverse. And
Okay.
it was a reality. It's a reality show called Vanderpump Rules. And if
Yes.
you're in pop culture, you may have heard this. But during the midst of like airing this season, a big affair came out between two of the cast members that nobody suspected at all.
Okay.
It has really, really shooketh the culture, if
Yeah.
you will. So I'm really into that. They just had their episode 3 of the reunion, so they had the last 6 minutes. They had the female that was involved in the affair actually
Okay.
completely admit to it all in
Mm.
in an interview, and it was really shocking. And since then, she has been radio silent for a while on social media. I think she's actually been kind of like away and getting help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably a lot.
Okay. Okay.
Guy, meanwhile, has been capitalizing off of it and going on tour with his band and being a complete jackass. And he's gone radio silent too since that episode aired because she definitely said like he made me lie about every single aspect.
Wow.
These are the actual details. So it was really, really juicy,
I
and
bet.
yeah, it was really surprising. It really unified the Bravo fans, and it's been
Okay.
something that we've really been obsessing with since like March 1st broke. So it's kind of sad that it's almost over. They have like a Secrets Revealed episode that's tonight that of course I'll watch. But yeah, I've been really kind of just like analyzing the timeline of Scandival. His name is
Okay.
Tom Sandoval, and when
Okay.
the scandal broke, somebody on Twitter said Scandival, and
Yeah, it's perfect.
that's where we're at. What about you?
See, I didn't know the ins and outs of any of that. I could have got Vanderpump Rules and Affair. That's pretty much the extent of what I knew. So it's good to fill in the pieces here.
Did you hear?
So,
I mean, had you heard about this scandal?
yes, I did. I did, but I don't know any of the moving pieces in it. So I was just sort of like, oh, this sounds juicy.
Good. I'll tell you all
Okay.
the details.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Give me a recap. You need your own podcast where you just talk through all of this.
I'm working on it. There's things in
Okay.
the work here in
Okay.
this Marshall podcast.
Oh,
I'll just
yeah. I'll come on and be like, really? Wow. Really? I didn't know that. Really?
what's the sidekick that did Johnny Carson have a sidekick?
Yeah. Ed McMahon.
Oh shoot, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was Ed McMahon.
I'm
He's
sure I'll be Ed McMahon. Yeah.
McMahon is that's almost a more recognizable name to me than Johnny Carson. I didn't realize that was his sidekick.
Oh, yeah. Well, Star Search and stuff like that. Star
Yeah.
Search. Star Search and the Publishers Clearinghouse is really like every kid like our age knew those words, so that's probably it.
You hear a knock on the door, it's that big old check.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I've been watching Fatal Attraction on Paramount Plus.
With Lizzie
It's
Kaplan.
yes, with Lizzie Kaplan, Joshua Jackson, Amanda Peet, and it's so good. Like I didn't watch the original. I've never seen the movie. I've never seen the Michael Douglas Glenn Close movie. And my wife and I watched it, and it was like I think it was 8 episodes, and we really were like subsequent days we were like, yes, more. So I was kind of sad when it was over. But I think it's a really satisfying, I don't know what you'd even call it, mystery, thriller. I don't know. It works really well though.
Do you end up watching the movie?
I haven't seen the movie yet, but the show I think is kind of a retelling of the beats of the movie. I don't know how close it sticks to it, but it did kind of make me curious, to go and watch it. I mean, I love Michael Douglas, so it's one I need to watch at some point.
At all, is he?
No, he's not.
Are there any Easter eggs like that where they kind of introduce Glenn Close and Michael Douglas?
Nothing that was obvious to me. I know there's like a famous thing about a rabbit in the original movie, and there was like a bunny that kind of hopped through some scenes, and so I knew enough to get that was a nod to the original movie. Right. But I think you'd like it. I think it's pretty good. Lizzie Kaplan's great in everything, but I really thought Joshua Jackson did a really subtle job. Like you just kind of never knew if he was a good guy or a scumbag or both. So
Joshua Jackson. That's definitely like a throwback to our childhood.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Dawson's Creek, and yeah.
I think I listened to a radio. It was like a town hall kind of interview with the cast of that, and Joshua Jackson just totally bombarded the whole interview and was like mansplaining through it all, and he was really obnoxious. I know. It's like I kind of want to hear. I kind of want to hear what the women have to say without you interjecting.
Oh, that's disappointing because I was like really impressed with his performance, but
I'm sure he's great. I think he was.
Maybe it just came natural.
Yeah, maybe the role just was a little too close to home.
Yeah, he was like, I can be a boorish man, sure.
He started recognizing it at the end and was and then he was commenting on it, and then it just got awkward, and then it was like, okay, then just shut up.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, just pump the brakes on that one for a while. Well, anyway, it was good. I like it. I recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, shall we move into some book news?
Absolutely.
Look into the future to see what it proves. It's time for book news.
Well, they just today, at our time of recording, announced the Women's Prize for Fiction. And this year it went to Barbara Kingsolver for her novel Demon Copperhead. And this is like a take on Charles Dickens' David Copperfield. But what's interesting about it is that Barbara Kingsolver is the first person ever to win this award twice. She won it in 2010 with her novel The Lacuna. But I read one of hers called Prodigal Summer, which was about like a forest ranger who was like out like deep in the woods by herself, and that was really good. But that's like the only thing I've ever read. Huh. Since our book today is young adult, I thought we would look at the young adult bestseller list. All right, so I'm going to run through the top 10. You tell me what you think. All right, number 10, 6 weeks on the list, Warrior Girl Unearthed by Angela Boulay. Barry and Pauline Firekeeper Birch discover that a local university is holding on to a deceased Anishinaabe remains. Number 9, 42 weeks on the list, Lightlark by Alec Astor. Every 100 years, the island of Lightlark appears in a deadly competition called the Centennial takes place. So it's like if Brigadoon and the Hunger Games combined.
Say, it feels Hunger Gamesy,
it would be
singing too.
Yeah.
And slashing.
That's right. Number 8, 2 weeks on the list, Miles Morales Suspended, written by Jason Reynolds. Miles Morales encounters a termite with a secret that may destroy the world's history, particularly Black and Brown history. I've read a lot of Jason Reynolds stuff, and I always like it. I haven't read his Miles Morales books, though. Number 7, 36 weeks on the list, The First to Die at the End by Adam Silvera. In this prequel to They Both Die at the End. Okay. Orion and Valentino attend the premiere of Deathcast in Times Square. Hey, you're heading in that direction.
I'll have to go look for Miles.
See if you can find it. Number 6, 9 weeks on the list, The Little Mermaid, Against the Tide by J.L. Ariel and her siblings must find their abducted sister Mala before the coral moon approaches. So yeah, I don't know if this is like a prequel to the movie or what.
I remember Mala from the movie, so she must have been abducted before the movie.
I guess so, yeah. Number 5, 23 weeks on the list, Nic and Charlie. Nic and Charlie question whether their love is strong enough to survive being apart when Nic leaves for university. Have you read or seen Heartstoppers?
No, I have a friend that's obsessed with that series and is trying
Okay.
to get me to watch it. I haven't done it yet. Have you?
I haven't watched the show, but I read it. I read the webtoon. So I read the comics that it's based on. And this is Alice Oseman wrote those, and this is a novel about those characters. So I don't know if it's like a retelling of the comic or a telling of a different part of the comic. I'm not sure, but number 4, 2 weeks on the list. See You Yesterday by Rachel Lynn Solomon. Barrett and Miles get stuck in a time loop, reliving their first day of college classes.
Ay, ay, ay.
You can't go wrong with a good time loop story. I like a good time loop,
I would love to go revisit my college classes knowing what I know now.
but only the first day. You can only do the first day over and over again.
Over and over?
Yeah, it's
Well,
a
that'd be
time
kinda
loop.
fun.
That's the loop. That's the loop part. Number 3, 28 weeks on the list. 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. 6 friends on a spring break road trip in an RV are the target of a sniper. Jeez.
Ooh. Not as fun as a slasher.
No. Number 2, 2 weeks on the list. Girls Like Us by Haley Kiyoko. 2 girls struggle with their feelings for each other. All right. Number 1, 6 weeks on the list. Solitaire, also by Alice Oseman. Tori Spring is determined to find out who's behind the blog called Solitaire, which has caused serious pranks at her school. Are blogs still a thing?
Yeah, and then it was vlogs, so I think maybe we're back to blogs.
We've come back around. Okay. All right. Did you have a blog back in the day?
A live journal.
Did you? Bo knows, something like that.
Oh, it was Skinny B42.
Why 42?
I was obsessed with the musical 42nd Street.
Ah, that's funny. I was in 42nd Street
I
in the theater that we worked in together.
remember you telling
Yeah.
me as the lights descended.
Yeah.
During Mamma
Yeah.
Mia.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. All right. That's the bestseller list. All right. All right. It's time. It's time for our Pride Month book club. So let's dive in.
Sexy new book club.
All right. This year we opted for She Gets the Girl by Allison Derrick and Rachel Lippincott. All right. Let me hit you with some facts. The authors are married, and this is sort of a somewhat autobiographical story.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. It was a Goodreads Choice nominee for Best YA Fiction in 2022. Here's the publisher's synopsis. So, heads up, if you haven't read the book, we're probably going to spoil it, but this is just a quick summary here. She's All That meets What If It's Us in this swoon-worthy, hate-to-love YA romantic comedy from #1 New York Times bestselling co-author of 5 Feet Apart, Rachel Lippincott, and debut author Allison Derrick. Alex Blackwood is a little bit headstrong with a dash of chaos and a whole lot of flirt. She knows how to get the girl. Keeping her, on the other hand, not so much. Molly Parker has everything in her life totally in control, except for her complete awkwardness with just about anyone besides her mom. She knows she's in love with the impossibly cool Cora Myers. She just hasn't actually talked to her yet. Alex and Molly don't belong on the same planet, let alone the same college campus. But when Alex, fresh off a bad but hopefully not permanent breakup, discovers Molly's hidden crush as their paths cross the night before classes start, they realize they might have a common interest after all, because maybe if Alex volunteers to help Molly learn how to get her dream girl to fall for her, she can prove to her ex that she's not a selfish flirt, that she's ready for an actual commitment. And while Alex is the last person Molly would ever think she could trust, she can't deny Alex knows what she's doing with girls, unlike her. As the two embark on their 5-step plans to get their girls to fall for them, though, they both begin to wonder if maybe they're the ones falling for each other.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know. Give me just a yes or no, thumbs up, thumbs down on this book. How'd you feel about it? Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, it wasn't all that enthusiastic. It seemed like just a...
Well, it was interesting. This is the first time I did an Audible book and I listened to it. So
Okay.
actually, it read more soap opera-y because I actually
Yeah.
had voice actors performing it. So
Yeah.
it was, it was hands-free. It was just a different
Mhm.
experience for me doing a, what do you call it? Like an audiobook.
An
Yeah.
audiobook. Yeah. You can access so many audiobooks with your library card right here at the David A. Howe Public Library using the Libby app.
I feel like it's,
Just a little plug. Yeah. You don't have to pay for it.
you're welcome.
I listened to this partially on audio, and I also read the book kind of half and half, just depending on what I was doing. My one complaint about the audiobook, though, is that I feel like, and some of this has to do with the writing, but I felt like the readers they got to do Molly and Alex had a very similar vibe.
Vocally, you mean?
Vocally, yeah. Did you get that at all?
Yeah, but explain to me in the book, does each chapter, is it titled one of their names?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the
Yeah.
only way, that's the only way it helped me. I mean, I guess
Mhm.
they have conversation with each other, but I was following pretty well.
Yeah. I think it's because like, well, I didn't super love this book. So I'll just put that right out there in the front. This
All right,
was
bring it on.
this was
Let's
maybe my
go.
least favorite book we've done together out of the 3 Pride months that we've done.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
I like this better than Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Did you really?
I did.
I think it moves a lot quicker than Red, White, and Royal Blue. That one was kind of a slog at some point.
Yeah.
And I do have some similar complaints. Like in Red, White, and Royal Blue, we both sort of felt like there really wasn't much tension because they were just all in, like right from the
Right.
beginning, and that was it. And I feel like there's a little of that here too. Like, not that Molly and Alex are like, we're 100% in this relationship, but I guess it never really occurred to me that they might not end up together. And I didn't find their chemistry all that obvious or strong, like coming on the page. I don't know. What do you think?
I liked the tension building up into the end. I like it because in Red, White, and Royal Blue, like right off the bat, like you
Oh,
said,
that's
it's
true.
going
Yeah.
at it. I like this one. It was a build, and then it was like, will they? Won't we? They of course they will. But what I
Yeah.
liked about it the most is that it was like helping one of the characters discover, well, both of them discover who they were. It
True.
was more kind of a journey of self discovery and showing the comfortability in kind of that opposing characterization. So like them kind of combating really helped that one character thrive and come to life, and everybody could see like the vibrancy, and I liked seeing the self-confidence sort of build through that character.
Yeah.
I like the development a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I agree. I think their individual journeys, to your point, were probably the strongest part about it. I think, especially with, Alex is the one who's kind of the mess, right? Alex was the one who started with Natalie
Yes.
and then was going to help Molly get Cora. Yes. I think her going from just being like kind of a mess of a person to sort of the fact that she has this friendship really does kind of push her to being a more sustainable, stable person, which I did like that part. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that they came from different backgrounds, of course, and it was like an unlikely pair. I just like that story of course, it's not going to be Cora. It was you all along. Sort
Yeah.
of. It was great. It
Yeah.
was more interesting to me, and I honestly cannot identify if it's because I actually listened to it. I listened to it in 2 days too, so I really crammed it.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah.
It was really, really condensed. Whereas if I was reading, it might be a little bit more of a struggle for me to get through it or want to
Okay.
get to it. I really like this format, so I think I need to explore that for next time.
Yeah,
You know,
audiobooks are great. They really
I
are.
drive to Chicago, I drive to Detroit, and I covered a lot of ground listening
Yeah.
to it on my way. So it was,
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
was
for sure. I
successful.
think like a couple of things that stood out to me. I kind of wish that Natalie and Cora, who were like, the objects of Alex and Molly's affection, I sort of wish those characters would have been fleshed out a little bit more, so that you would have kind of wondered, like, well, maybe Molly really should be with Cora. Like, maybe this is something here. Maybe there's like something to this. And same with Natalie. I feel like Natalie came off pretty mean.
Right, and it was actually Alex who was the mean one to Natalie by not letting
Right.
her in. Like Natalie wanted to be a part of Alex's life and said, "I love you," and it wasn't reciprocated off the bat. So you actually feel for Natalie, and then towards the end, it's like Natalie becomes the cold-hearted biatch
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
she's on tour and like, "Oh, now I don't want it." Like Natalie always
Right.
her calls eventually.
Yeah.
Came to Pittsburgh, spent time with her, wanted to cuddle, wanted to be physical after all that time apart. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Alex has this expectation where no, we have to chat. So it's
Yeah.
like she really threw Natalie for a loop.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like the only time you really have sympathy for Natalie is the first chapter, because after that, she is kind of presented. I don't know if it's meant to be she's sort of jilted, and so she's mad at Alex, but it just seems like a terrible relationship. So I don't know. I kind of missed when you have like, it's not even a triangle, it's like a quadrangle because you have like 4 involved. But I feel like in order for that to work, there's got to be some chemistry amongst all parties, and it just never really, like, I feel like that above all else was what was missing for me.
Yeah, and I think with Cora, I think she was maybe fleshed out a little bit more than Natalie because she was
Yeah,
obviously a more central character. But I have to
yeah.
say, I really liked the reveal of Cora. I thought that was a nice little surprise.
Yes, when you kind of get a sense of what her personality is really like.
Yeah,
When Molly's in a more secure place to really like look at this person and be like, "Oh, you're not great." you
right.
know?
Oh, yeah, yeah. The full character reveal of
Yeah.
her character, but I also like the actual introduction of her character into the book. So
Oh, oh, I
when
see, I
we're in the
see.
7-Eleven and she's Alex is trying to flirt with this girl, and it ends up
Yes. Okay.
Cora the whole time. I
Yeah.
thought that was surprising to me, being like, oh, I see
Yeah.
where this is gonna go.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think more things like that where you have some misdirection and you have like, oh, this could go in multiple places, I feel like would have helped it along. I I didn't hate it or anything, you know what I mean? Like I was
Yeah,
fine. I wasn't like what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And I didn't feel
yes.
like there was enough tension to really pull me along all
Yeah,
that
you
much.
kind of knew all along what was gonna happen, and when
Yeah.
she pulls her to the rugby tryout, it's like you knew that wasn't gonna go well. I think the
Yeah.
thing that surprised me the most was I didn't know if Cora was actually more interested in Alex or Molly, and it was
Yeah.
very clear all along that she was interested in Molly. So maybe
Yeah.
there could have been a little bit more deceit on the end of maybe she caught Cora and Alex kissing. That would have been a big betrayal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been a little bit juicier. I mean, I don't, as a person, like conflict. I just like watching it on reality TV through
Yeah.
Scandal.
Yeah, of
But
course, of
when I
course.
read a book, I don't want to see the drama necessarily, but I think there could have been some opportunities there where it could have been a little bit like Alex got by pretty scot free. I feel like she didn't, as a downtrodden sort of character,
Yeah.
she really never did anything really wrong. I don't think.
No, because in the beginning, when Cora's like interested in her and stuff, and she sees that that's where Molly's interests are, she backs right off, and she doesn't. She's just kind of honest and nice to people. I don't know.
Yeah, no, she seemed awesome. And then when
Yeah,
you were reading the description about how it's kind of like She's All That, the teen movie from the early
yeah,
2000s, like, oh, that makes sense because she's, trying to gussy Molly up and make
yeah.
her this badass chick for Cora and make her like a formidable match. And that whole kind of journey, I was like, why is she doing this again?
I know.
That
Yes.
felt a little loose too. Like, why are you putting so much energy in this girl just
Yeah.
because you think that by telling your ex-girlfriend, I spend so much intimate time with this girl, but we didn't
Right.
do anything, I
Right.
swear. It's like,
Yeah.
all right.
I felt the same way. It's like as soon as that plot point came up, and it's early on where she's like, "I'll just fix up this girl with her crush, and then Natalie will know that I'm serious." It was like,
Will
that's
she?
you gotta have a real suspension of disbelief there, like, hey, I got these two people to hook up. See how great I am,
I just like, how did you do that too? Like, yeah, like that seems really intimate. Like, can't you just have
It does.
friends? I'd be more impressed if she just had friends,
Yeah,
not try
yeah,
to hook two girls up.
yeah. I think it's a very sweet story. Like it's nice and it's pleasant, and there's no big drama moments. Nobody really has a big falling out outside of the initial fight and everything. But sometimes that can be nice. I just feel like in a book like this where the destination as soon as you see the title is, you know what I mean? Like just really, like
Yes.
you know where you're going. In order for it to be, I think, a really successful book, you have to make it about the characters. And I just didn't really feel like the characters, any of them, really popped quite enough to me. You
Did
know?
this one feel longer to you than others, or how did that match up? Because this felt very different to me, obviously, listening to it on 1.2 speed.
No, I don't think it felt longer. I think Red, White, and Royal Blue was like interminable. That just would never end. And that spent
Now
like
we're
hundreds.
relaxing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But now who's gonna win? And I thought last year the Guncle, although we kind of identified some superfluous characters where we were like we could do without them. I thought that one moved pretty quickly too. So no, I didn't think this was slow necessarily. I just wanted more stuff to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of stuff did happen, but a lot of stuff that didn't need to happen. Like all of a sudden, when we got into okay, that's step two. It's like, oh
Hmm.
God, how many steps are there? And like this 2 on 5. And I was like, no,
Yeah,
can
yeah,
we
yeah,
do 3 steps? And they're like, oh wait, that's step 3.5. And I was like, okay, well
yeah,
this feels like a mess. Like we're making this
yeah,
up as we go. which is kind of cute, but that didn't play into any sort of that had no payoff. The steps one
No,
through
it didn't.
five. I was like,
No.
and Molly knew that Alex was making this step system up, but it wasn't. I was like, step 5 should be like something really, really powerful, and it
Yeah.
just ended up being like, and they go out. It's like, well, yeah, we knew that, but it should be something surprising that happens. And I do
Yeah.
think that the surprise get together, well, I thought it was very romantic happening in the library. I thought the authors did a good job of explaining that moment where their bodies finally connect. And I'm kind of a sucker for like the intimacy when it comes to
Yeah.
this stuff. Like I'm kind of in it for like the horny details. And I thought that like having their bodies like pressed apart, like Molly couldn't get close enough to her, you know. I thought
Right.
that was a
Yeah.
detail. So yeah, I don't know. I wish that there had been a little bit more intimacy earlier on.
I agree. There wasn't really much of that at all. And I do think you kind of miss it. One thing there, we start with kind of a makeout scene and they talk about kicking off their Converse. That's something they say multiple times. You can't kick off Converse. There's so many laces in
Right,
those.
man.
No way.
It's also painting a very clear picture of what kind of like archetypes these are. Like
Right? Yeah, I know.
poor girls, you know, these are
Yeah.
like these aren't your lipstick girls. These are a little
Uh-uh.
bit more like your grungy girls. So
Yeah. I also felt kind of like we were missing a scene with Molly and Natalie. I don't know. Like had
yeah.
Molly had some opportunity to sort of confront Natalie or be in a position to kind of defend Alex to Natalie, I think that would have added a dimension too. And we just never went in that direction at all.
There was that confrontation at the final concert of Natalie's, and it was kind of
Okay.
just a little interaction that they had where Molly came back and said, "I don't like her,
Yeah.
Alex. You know, she said, I don't like
Right.
Natalie." It's
That's
just kind
true.
of like,
That's
why?
true.
Like, she's mean to you, and it's kind of like, but yeah, I did that seemed really rushed, and
Yeah.
it seemed like they did not want to dedicate a lot of time to this Natalie character.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and I wasn't even counting that in my head because, like, what I wanted was Molly to say things to Natalie. I wanted her to be like, "Alex is my friend, and you're not treating her
Yeah,
right." Like I wanted something like that.
you're right.
Maybe Alex overhears that, and it's sort of, you
Yeah,
know,
Molly didn't really have that kind of stand up for herself moment. She just all of a
no,
sudden was like a badass chick because she made a couple quips here and there, and then ended
right,
up getting Cora. But it seemed like Cora and Natalie kind of piddled out like
yeah,
in a very like unexplosive way. I think it could have been a little bit more explosive.
yeah, and I think like to your earlier point, as far as like character develops in their journeys, I really feel like Alex is the character who comes off as the most like fulfilled, the most like her journey seemed the most believable and the most fleshed out to me.
Yeah. Like hearing about Alex's journey. Like I like the way they painted sort of the crappy apartment that she moved into once she got
Yeah,
to Pittsburgh,
yeah,
and like having the interaction with the roommate, and like all of a sudden the roommate. I like how they kept alluding to like Alex is this gorgeous person, and obviously you know she doesn't take care of herself. I thought they did a good job of introducing sort of that Alex is this like blonde hardcore chick, and Molly's like this buttoned up girl from you know the suburbs. So I thought they did a good job of painting those two pictures, and then having Alex sort of explore Pittsburgh on her own and like alluding to like not being able to afford the clothing and having Molly's mom buy that, and then also getting the job with
hmm
the unlikely food cart owner who becomes kind of a father figure to her was
yeah,
really sweet too. I thought that those relationships for Alex were more fun to read than the Molly stuff. The Molly stuff was obviously stressful because she was a stressful character and high strung,
yes, yes,
but I think they did a good job of like painting that dichotomy between the two characters. They really
yeah.
focused all their energy on Molly and Alex, like they should,
Well, yeah, of
but,
course.
but they just didn't connect fast enough.
Yeah, yeah, and I think adding a few pitfalls along the way would have made it that much better. You
Yeah,
know,
there was some like the flirting scene in Starbucks where they're sitting there and she's like, "Okay, we'll grab the coffee and stuff." Like some of that stuff went on a little too long for me.
yeah.
The coaching of Molly wasn't I don't know, didn't seem like she utilized that coaching in any sort of way with Cora.
No,
There was
no.
like that one moment where it was like in the rugby tryouts where she got knocked out or whatever, and then Cora
Yeah.
comes to check on her, and she's like, "What's up, Doc?" or something like that. She makes some sort of like doc, like she references Cora as her doctor, and it's like a very
Right.
natural. It's like we could have seen a few more times where it's like we could just realize that Molly had the potential the whole time. Like Molly's
Yeah.
a funny person. Like we
Right.
should have had a little bit more dry, sarcastic quips from her earlier to
Yeah.
like it's always been there. It just took like Alex to kind of let the guard down for her. So I think, other than that, it was like, unless Alex taught her to be funny, which I doubt that's true, she just like encouraged her to come out of her
Yeah.
shell. It's
Yeah.
like we could have used a few more sarcastic, like even when she has her internal thoughts, like maybe there were a little bit more sarcastic jokes that could be had. So you fall
Hmm.
for Molly a little bit sooner because that came out of nowhere. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
all of a sudden she's really funny.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
They could have introduced that humor earlier.
I think that's true of just the whole book. I feel like the book sort of lacked a sense of humor. Like it wasn't, not that it has to be like a laugh out loud hilarious, but it didn't really have a lot of like funny situations, really, even.
Right.
So
There was the cute little moment with the banana when she got down to the common area of college.
yes,
Like, wait, no, they're trying to demonstrate how to put on condoms, and she's
yeah,
eating the
yeah,
display. I mean, that was kind of
yeah.
funny.
That's funny. That's funny
Yeah.
stuff.
But then it was really like, it was all serious from there. It was like, okay, now
Yeah,
we're going to get down to business. We're going to get you that girl. It was more contention and sort of like building that hatred towards each other that they were focused on, I think, over humor, which is a
yeah,
shame because it
yeah.
should be fun.
I think in a book like this too, where you're kind of setting up an odd coupling, where it's like Molly is like nice and sweet, and Alex is sort of rough and tumble. I don't think that came out too strong in the book either. That was one of the, like, with a Molly chapter and an Alex chapter. That was one place where I did have to kind of remind myself who is who a time or two, because I just don't think the writing varied that much between Alex and Molly. Like from chapter to chapter, I don't really think it did. And
Do you
then
think that maybe since it was co-written, that one of them wrote more in the voice of one and one wrote more in the voice of the other?
it's possible. I know, like, books like Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist and things like that, or Dash and Lily, those typically are, one author does a chapter and one does another. But these, I couldn't really tell much of a difference. And, they both had like these relationships with their moms. Then I had to keep being like, wait, this is bad mom and this is good mom. Like I had to kind of keep that straight in my head.
Yeah. The mom stuff. The voices were killing me though. It's like,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think you're right. Like, not only was the writing kind of similar for both the girls, but the voice
Yeah,
inflections were that
it
different. Like,
was.
Alex obviously had kind of a lower voice, and Molly was very neutral. And then Cora was like, and then I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna go here,
Uh,
and we're gonna go up every time we talk. And that was just like a funny choice. It's like it's
yeah,
so funny to listen to them make these voices and commit. I
I
think
know.
what they said in the audiobook is that there were two different actresses that played the two roles, but they did
Yeah,
sound very similar. So they
they
could have
did.
maybe done a little bit better at casting or just like putting on a stronger affectation for either.
Something. Yeah, I think if you're going to go to the trouble of having two people, you want to have two very different types, you
Yeah,
know?
because definitely for a while I was like, wait, this is one girl doing different voices.
Yes.
The
Yes,
same
I know.
girl.
Just have Natasha Lyonne do the Alex dialogue, Alex
Oh,
ones.
so
Yeah.
Molly, you're never
Ah,
gonna,
why don't you come
never
and
gonna make
date this girl? Why don't you?
it. I would listen to Natasha Leon
Yeah.
for anything.
Does she do audiobooks? We need to get to the bottom of this. I don't know. I didn't like this one. I'm sorry.
That's fair. I'm just trying to talk up this book.
I know you are. You're doing your best. You're doing your best. And I guess it's too much to say I didn't like it. I just found it very,
Boring.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. I mean, I think if I hadn't been in like a complete rush to complete this by our deadline, that
Yeah.
maybe I would have been. If I really milked it and like nurtured it like the books that I love, then I probably wouldn't have been excited to pick it up again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What I liked about this choice is that we were doing a story about two girls
Yeah.
finding love, and I thought that the kind of the difference between Red, White, and Royal Blue and this one was like that carnal factor. I think that with the guys, it was like they were getting down to business real quick, duh.
They
'Cause like,
were. They
yeah,
were.
they're
Yeah.
just gonna cut the pleasantries. And then the girls, I did kind of I found myself being a little bit like, "Ooh, is this gonna be the moment?" Like, I find myself
Yeah.
anticipating it, and it was kind of
Yeah.
exciting to have that hanging on the, again,
Yeah.
will they, won't they? I know they will, but how soon will they?
Yeah, well, like there's a part where they're like in the mall trying to pick outfits or something like that, and they're
Yeah.
sort of like noticing each other, and they're kind of like, "Wait a minute, am I into this?" You know, and then it's over. Like that's it. We don't come back to that, for quite a while. I thought that scene was really well done.
Yes,
You
the
know,
mall scene was fantastic, I
it
thought, 'cause
was. Yeah.
introducing, Alex to the mom who loved her right away, I thought was really
Yes.
touching and recognized
Yep.
that she's, like, a special person, and then buying the clothes, and as I'm even saying this, I'm gonna start getting emotional, I don't know why, I've been, like, crying so much this month, but, like, just I'm such a softie.
Oh my gosh.
It's so silly, yeah. The amount of emotion that I would all of a sudden be like, "Aw," like, I'd hear something like, "Aw," it was very sweet. I think maybe my heart's just a lot more open this year than it was last year somehow.
Well, that seems positive.
Yeah, yeah, maybe having you here, maybe choreographing those kids,
Yeah.
maybe, just a whole mess of stuff, maybe being fully integrated into this community. It's just, like,
Yeah.
been very, very touching, so I think I'm just loving everything.
Yeah. Yeah, what was it like choreographing, like, back in the old place? Beau's been working at the theater where he and I did, shows together when we were kids, and, now you're back there with, like, a new generation. Like, what was that experience like, being back there and working with a new crew?
Yeah, I think I went back and forth because these were the high school students, and I'd also choreographed the middle school students. And for a while, I was like, I think I prefer middle school age more because they're less self conscious. But the high school kids are like, they're quick, man. Like
Yeah,
I had maybe 2 hours every rehearsal to set a dance number, and I kind of like mentioned to the production staff, like, I need 2 hours to set these dance numbers. I mean, the show is Mamma Mia. The main song is Dancing Queen. Like, it
yeah,
centers on dance, right? So I had to have enough time to make something big enough that I'd be proud of and that would, kind of do this show justice. And so I wanted to have plenty of time, but I knew that we were so limited. And it was the most amount of conflicts I think I've ever experienced in a show. Like,
mm, mhm.
we like almost never had the full cast there.
That's rough. That's
That
rough.
was frustrating in general. So there was already kind of this sense of, like, commitment. I was wondering, like, if they had it. So I'd set a dance number, and then they probably wouldn't do it again until Tech Week. So I didn't have this catch-up time to, like, remind them, and
Yeah,
luckily with technology now you can record dances so people that weren't there could catch up, and they really did. Like, that was the most impressive part. It's like, I know the show will always come together, but this really came together in a very amazing way, and in that they really got their crap together. Like, they
yeah,
really did the work outside of the room and showed me how dedicated they were. And it was because, like, there's like this element that I feel like in probably, well, you definitely as a director have it too, where it's like you can just picture opening night, right?
oh,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
you're setting stuff knowing what the crowd reaction is going to be. And I knew when I was setting some of these numbers, like what was possible. They weren't getting there in rehearsal, obviously. So I knew that, like, once they clicked in and really felt it, that they would get the response they deserved, and they totally did. And they totally
absolutely.
got it. Eventually, they understood kind of where it was heading. So I felt very justified in the sense of, like, the
Yeah,
method of my madness was really realized, and worth it. So it was the process was kind of stressful. It was very touching to be back in the theater where I came from, but I didn't have time to even didn't even have time to reflect or to
yeah,
think about good old days because I had to get this frickin' information out as fast as possible. It just felt too rushed. I mean,
yeah.
kids these days are so overloaded and
Okay,
overcommitted.
grandpa. Alright.
We had, like, oh my god, like, how many frickin' tennis conflicts, and, like, our leads were never there because there was their senior year, and
Yeah.
we did this right, like, a week. They opened a week before their graduation.
Oh, wow, that's
So
intense.
it wasn't until the seniors got released from school for the year that we actually finally had them all. And then they had, some sort of, like, baccalaureate ceremonies and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
They had so many. So we were not going to do this show in this slot again. It was like, it was
Yeah, that's
crazy.
a busy time. That's a crazy busy time.
It
Well,
was.
it really I mean, hearing how it was put together, it was pretty amazing, like, what you were able to work through that with them, and, like, what the finished product. I mean, it really, because it's not just like this is people standing in a line doing their own motion, and it doesn't matter, like, if these people aren't here that day. It's a lot of really interconnected stuff that, like, relied on everybody kind of being where they're at. So to put that together separately, like with people watching videos and stuff, is pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Not to embarrass you further, but you were the commencement speaker for the class of 2023, and I do want to hear a little bit about that. So can you tell me? Tell me.
Yeah, that was probably the most overwhelming thing that I've done since I've been back. I mean,
Yeah.
they called me, the Marshall High School called me while I was at work, and I had this week of proposals. Like, I had the busiest week probably of my newfound career, this weird life that I'm chasing now, where I had like 3 proposals I had to present to different school districts. I had 3 big dance numbers I had to choreograph. Super Trooper, Gimme Gimme, Voulez-Vous, and Lay All Your Love all in the same week. And I was also gone both
Jeez.
weekends with dance competitions. So I was
Yeah.
running on 0 sleep, running on complete fumes. And I just closed this proposal that I did. I got off the phone. I just didn't feel good about it. I was feeling like so of all sorts. And I had a phone call from a number I didn't recognize, and I answered, and it was the assistant principal, Matthew Siebert of Marshall High School, asking me to do this. And it was so touching, and I cried on
Yeah.
the phone,
I
and
bet.
I was probably in a vulnerable place as it was, but I wasn't expecting it at all. And like, just having him say that they were so touched from the work that I've done with their kids and that they
Yeah.
recognized it was really, really amazing. So
Yeah.
that aside, I got that notice about a month before they wanted me to do it, and then I wondered who dropped out. And
I couldn't make it. I just was too busy. I couldn't get there.
you were there
Yeah.
too early. If you were there a week later, it might have worked out in your
Yeah.
schedule. They're not doing schedule.
And they were like, "Should we get Beau?" And I was like, "I don't think so." But
I
I
think
guess it
you
still worked out. So
know
it's
that
great.
like
Yeah.
So somehow they were still waiting for the check to clear. No,
Yeah.
so I didn't want to dedicate too much energy to writing the speech. And it's funny. So I was like preparing for it, and I
Yeah.
thought, I was like, oh, who do I know that's done commencement speeches? I was thinking of Sutton Foster, because she's
Okay.
done a bunch of commencement speeches and has done kind of that circuit randomly. And I remember her on
Yeah.
late night talking about when she went to Troy High School in Michigan in 2018.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That was her alma mater. I was like, oh, I want to watch that. I'm a theater person myself. I love her. We're both going back to our alma maters after being theater people. I'll tell you what, I learned everything not to do from that
Well, she
speech.
was bad?
That was terrible.
Oh,
Sorry, and I know this is for
wow. Look
but
at that. Well, I
geez,
didn't like bunheads very much, so I guess,
I
you
like that
know.
more than this. She
Okay.
needs to stick to what she knows. I think what it was is like, I've been out of the musical theater performing business for 3 years now, and I kind of like talk about it as like leaving Scientology, like I've gone clear. So I can kind of like recognize that cult like mentality. And I
Yeah.
thought she was
Yeah.
just like trying way too hard,
Mm.
and like trying to relate to the kids, making jokes where they just clearly didn't land, and then kind of making
That's the worst.
it, and like just talking about unrelatable material. And I thought, if anything, I just learned you need to be genuine, and you just need to be authentic. And I thought there was a big performy quality about that speech. And she talked about how it was like the most nerve-wracking thing she's ever done. And of course, standing in front of high schools is terrifying.
Yeah.
I've been part of the community for a while, and I know these kids really well. I was nervous every second until I stood at that podium.
Yeah.
When I stood at that podium, I was absolutely locked in and just felt it. Like, I felt the love and everything, the support. So it was a really, really powerful experience, and it is on YouTube, and you can
Yeah.
Google MHS commencement. I'm about 45 minutes into the program, so
Yeah.
fast
Well,
forward.
I did watch the video, and I was proud of you already, and you did do a great
Aw.
job. So I'm really glad that you got to do that, and I feel like it was really meaningful to the kids and like all, everybody that you worked with, and just very cool to see. So
It was so
congratulations.
cool. Thank you. It was so cool to feel accepted in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I liked your speech better than I liked this book we read. So
I'm glad there was plenty of tension and conflict and character
there
development.
there
Whatever
really
the hell
was.
you're looking for in a
Yeah.
good young author. It definitely read like a young author's story. So I read somewhere it's like when you give a speech, you have to write it like you're reading to a 5th grade audience. So I think I nailed that.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, that's good to know.
I like school. School is good.
School school was good. I'm not in school anymore, and soon you will not be.
Yeah. So thank you for the support.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great. Well, I mean, as we're wrapping up the episode here, what are your plans for Pride Month? I know you're coming to New York City.
Yep.
What do you got going on?
So I don't have anything super scheduled. I'm going to New York City. I'm leaving tomorrow.
Okay.
I did this last year where I traveled to the city for Pride, and it was such a success. I had to repeat it.
Yeah.
I'm getting an Airbnb on the Upper East Side, where I usually do the Upper West Side. So I'm trying a new area.
Oh, all right. Diversifying. Sure.
To diversify my neighborhoods. I am going to definitely go to the Pride Parade, which is the last weekend of June, and that's on
Okay.
Sunday. That was really fun. Last year we went to the West Village right by Stonewall, where the riots
Oh,
happened, and
sure. Yeah.
where it all began, and that was cool. But it was like the first Pride back where everybody was back, and it was jam frickin' packed.
Mm.
Then we ended the night at the Emery's Crisis right around the corner, which is like a big piano bar in the city. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but they play
No.
show tunes there. They have a live piano player, and we literally spent Nick like 8 hours in that bar, and it's underneath the ground. Well, I need to be somewhere a little bit more open air this time. I would
Yes.
like to find myself a rooftop, some sort of rooftop party. I'm just gonna see friends, and I don't put too much on my schedule or overcommit, just knowing that I can kind of. One of my most fun nights last year when I did this was I had like one Tuesday night, and I was like, I'm not gonna plan anything this last night. I'm just gonna literally text people and see who's available. I
Mm.
texted somebody that didn't work out, texted another person that didn't work out, and then I got a text from a friend that said they had COVID. So I was like, crap, so none of this might work out because I was around that person, so I might have COVID. So I
Oh,
got
geez.
tested at a rapid place on the corner and then waited an hour and got my results, and I didn't have it. So I went down to Chelsea, and I wanted to go to the Standard Hotel where there's this rooftop bar called Lebain.
Okay.
So I went to this restaurant, and when I got to Chelsea, since I moved back to Michigan 3 years, they have like that area has blown up with restaurants. They have amazing restaurants all of a sudden in the
Wow.
switch from like 26th Street down to 14th Street on 8th Avenue. So I literally just walked down 8th Avenue. I was like, oh my God, this place looks amazing. This place looks amazing. So I found myself in like a little Brazilian restaurant that looked super cute, had a cool vibe. I was by myself, and the bartender like comped me a bunch of margaritas and got me shots and stuff. So I ended up sitting next to two girls that are from University of Michigan.
Oh, wow.
Go Wolverines, and then I
Yeah.
headed out back down the street, and I headed to Lebain, right, because I wanted to see the sunset
Yeah.
over the I guess it's the Hudson. And I got to I got to the place, and I was just like had this energy, right? I had this like vibe,
Yeah.
energy.
It's all
I was
those comped margaritas, probably.
gonna hot margarita. That was the energy. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
free cheap booze. I showed up to the elevator, and the guy was like, "Oh, there's a private party up there," and it's like, "Oh no, I just wanted to look at the view." And he's like, "Okay," so he let me up. And so I took the elevator all the way to the top, and I like the doors open, and there was like this big corporate party that was having their Pride event there. So like
Okay.
all these like finance bros and girls with like little rainbows on their cheek trying to be woke. And so I like
Perfect.
pushed my way through the crowd, and this girl who looked like Vanessa Bayer, you know Vanessa
I
Bayer,
do. Yeah. SNL. Sure.
like, "Do you want me to take your picture?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." So she took my picture by the view, by this awesome view of the rooftop. And then I was like, I'm gonna go to the back and get a picture of the Hudson. Will you watch my bags?" So I left my like shopping bags and my fanny pack there. She's like, "Sure." And so I went to the back, and I was like standing by the window, and there were a bunch of people that were getting their picture taken, and all these people were like, "Do you want me to take your picture?" I was like, "No. I literally just wanted to stand there and be present and watch the sunset."
Yeah.
I watched the sunset, and then this table next, or this like little group of people sitting kind of near where I was standing was like, "Did you get a good picture of that space?" And I was like, "No, I just wanted to like watch it or be present." They're like, "Oh my God, like, somebody didn't want to get their picture taken." So they had me sit with them. Next thing I know, I'm like sitting with these like two German entrepreneurs who were obsessed with Marshall and want to go bowling at Marshall Lanes,
Oh
and
my
like
gosh.
this other guy and his friend, his coworker, and ended up having so much fun with them and sat there for 2 hours. And I was like, "Oh my God, I left my bags with Vanessa Bayer." So I ran back, and she was like, "Oh, she's like, you left your bags here." She was still there. And so I took my bag, like, "Thanks, Vanessa." And it wasn't really her. And then I ran back to
Maybe
the
it was.
yeah, it very well could have been. So then I'm like with these people, whatever. And we take the elevator down. We're talking to the last minute, and I ended up like making out with one of them and having like a total meet cute, like it was like total vibes. And he was like, "I better see you again." And I was like, "You will," knowing I'd never see him again. And then
Wow.
so then I was like, okay. I was like, floating down the street, and I was like, I'm gonna go up 9th Avenue this time because I came down 8th Avenue. I want to go up 9th Avenue. Like walking, and feeling so good about myself, like on top of the world. Like I conquered New York City on my last day. I was so open, met new people,
Mm-hmm.
made an impact.
Mm-hmm.
See this person coming at me, and it's somebody I kind of think I recognize. And sure enough, it was somebody that like the year before, when I was there for the summer before, I had a nice moment with.
Oh.
Oh, another like ghost from my past. And I was like, and I was
Oh.
feeling good. And like this person was like very attractive in their own right. And we're getting closer. The person looks me in the eye and just keeps walking. Just like
Oh.
that.
Oh man.
Knocked down. That's New York City, baby. And we'll bring
Oh
it to
my
the top and
gosh.
it'll kick you right back down to earth. So I was like, for one moment, I felt so seen. And the next moment, I felt totally rejected. And I was like, I love this city.
Wow. See, that's the tension I was missing in this book.
I should have put that in my graduation speech.
Yes. Yeah.
These kids are
Yeah.
like,
That would
"What?"
that would have killed. That would have killed. I was on the edge of my seat. It was pins and needles over here. I loved it.
I
I
know,
loved it.
it was a wild day. So I kind of want to have, I don't know, I can't recreate that. And then when I came
No.
back to Michigan, I was like on this high from being like so open and meeting people. So I like signed up for this event in Detroit by myself, right? And I was like, I'm gonna go to this event by myself and meet people because I live in like rural Michigan in the smack dab in the center. I want to go to the big city in Michigan, be like, bring that openness with me. Wake up the day of the event, it's a little overcast, so I cancel. So like I resorted right back to that like, oh, can't do it. Can't do it. No, I know
Who
my
needs
ultimate
it?
closed when I got back here, but then I did sign up for the next event, and a friend came with me to that one, and it ended up being a lot of fun. So I think I do need a wing person when I'm here, but I was like feeling like really like I can do it. I can do
Yeah.
it on my own. I don't need another person. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see what happens. Every year is a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all
Okay. Well, I can't wait to hear the tales.
yeah. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
I might have my own boy meets boy or boy meets girl or
Yeah.
whatever boy meets. It's
Yeah.
pride.
Perfect. If you want a narrator, I could read it. So, like, I got this microphone right here.
Do all the voices.
Yeah. I'll do all of them. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in to our special Pride Month book club. The book is She Gets the Girl. Remember, we've got lots of great displays here. We've got our Pride Clubs meeting for teens and adults, regular, monthly, year-round. So you can find all that information at davidahowlibrary.org or pop in and see us and say hi. Beau, I think that'll do it for this year's episode. You'll be back for Christmas, I assume.
A very Pride Christmas. Yes, we're
Yeah.
bringing it all the way into December. And thank you
Okay.
for having me. I love this annual tradition that we have. And thank you for being an ally. And thank you for being a friend and for introducing this awesome celebration into your collection at the David A. Howe, right?
Yeah, you nailed it.
And
Perfect.
yeah, and I have to end with saying my friend Amanda has a drag name. Her drag name is Ann Ally. So
Oh, that's pretty good. Trademark. She better
yeah.
trademark that fast.
Oh,
So,
shoot, there it goes. Sorry,
yep,
sorry,
yep.
Amanda. I
Oh,
just
it's
told
too
you.
late. Too late. It's
Okay,
gone.
you can have it.
All right. Well, so long, my friend. So long, everybody.
Hi, thank you.